Hey, fourth graders. Before we get back to the book, I just pulled out. Do you remember our decimal ring? And it's a circle, and we practiced decimals with a circle, and we thought about tenths and hundredths. And if we counted all of these little lines, all of these ticks around from zero all the way back to zero, there would be 100 spaces. So 100 makes a whole. So 100 100ths would be a whole. So we count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 100ths, and look, it's labeled 5 100ths, or half of a tenth, right? Because if we keep going, we've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 100ths, or 1/10, on to 15 100ths, on to 20 100ths, 25 hundredths, 30 hundredths, 35 hundredths, 40 hundredths, all the way around till we get back to 100 100ths. Now, I do have a couple of other fraction circles. This is one we can think of for our clock because this has 100 ticks around it. So if you went 60 ticks around for your numerator, we know that 60 make a whole. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. That 60 60th would be a whole. And we talked about if we kind of make our lines go to the 15, we know that 15 minutes past an hour would give us a quarter of an hour. 30 minutes past or half past, if we had these two shaded in, this would be 1/2 or half of an hour. If we had 3 shaded in, that would be 3/4 of an hour. And if the whole thing was shaded in, that would get us back to 60 over 60 or 1 whole. Okay, so let's keep those rings in mind. And I've got one more ring. And you can see that this ring shows degrees. So we can see that it's separated into 360 degrees. So 360 degrees all the way around. So we know that a whole would be 360 over 360. If we wrote it as a fraction, that would be this whole circle. If we had an angle that was 90 degrees, it would look something like this. I'm doing this freehand, so it's not going to be perfect, but you'll get the idea. And it's labeled with this little box here. We know that that's a right angle and that this is 90 degrees of 360 total. 90 degrees of 360 total. So I would think of it as a fraction that way. If we went straight down again, oh, by the way, 90 degrees is a quarter of this circle as well, right? We could think of it as a fraction that way too. 1/4. Huh. So I wonder how we got to 1/4. Oh, I know, simplifying. 90 goes into 90 one time, and 90 goes into 360 4 times. So these are equivalent fractions. All right, let's keep going. If this was shaded in and this was also shaded in, I would have 2/4 instead of 1/4, or I would have 1/2 if I simplified it even further, right? And we know a straight angle is also 180 degrees out of 360 degrees. So it would also be 180 of 360 degrees. So half the circle would be 180 degrees. And look, it's a straight angle. Straight angle. All right, let's keep going. If I shade in another quarter, I would have 3/4. 3/4 of the circle is filled in. 3/4. And let's see how many. Let's see if this is 90 degrees here. I've got 2 90 degrees. Now I have 3 90 degrees. What would 3 times 90 give me? Well, I know 3 times 9 gives me 27. So 3 times 90 would give me 270 degrees over 360 degrees. Oh, look, I just noticed it's already labeled 270 degrees. All right. And then we know if we have the whole thing shaded in, that would be 4/4 or 1/2 or 360 degrees over 360 degrees. Oh, we already have that there, right? Okay, so that kind of helps me a lot with the visual. And it helps me relate the fractions to degrees, which is the way that we do measure circles. I hope that helped you. All right, let's get back to the book next.